So, okay, let's start again. Welcome, everyone. And thank you for coming out on this muggy evening to spend some time talking about a very important subject, waste diversion. It's something I think we all care about. We realize that we have to do it well. We don't want that big pile of garbage to grow and grow and grow. We want recycling to happen more and more. So we're going to have a discussion about it. So this is an information session. And we're very privileged to have some great staff here tonight. And I'm going to introduce to you Kayla Johnston, who's a public outreach assistant, working as a summer student for the city's Public Works and Environment Services Department in her position. And she's responsible for promoting waste diversion. And her goal tonight is to provide us with information about how to properly sort waste and what happens once the waste is picked up. Her work at the city includes writing promotional messages about waste diversion for the city's Recollect app, the calendar reminder application, and for the website. Kayla is going into her 4th year of study at McMaster University, studying communications with a minor in business. Welcome, Kayla. And just a reminder to everyone that this meeting is being recorded. So that is for the benefit of those who couldn't make it tonight. It will be available on the Bay Ward Bulletin website and in the newsletter. Okay, Kayla, are you set to do the presentation?
I am all set, thank you.
Great, and you'll take questions after each section. Great,
yeah.
And as long as and people know that they can use the chat function to get their questions out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Counselor. Hello, everyone, and good evening. My name is Kayla Johnston. I am a public outreach assistant with the city's Public Works and Environmental Services Department. Today, I have the pleasure of providing you information on the city's recycling programs and the importance of waste diversion. All right, so on the agenda today, we will go through what items go into which bins. We'll go over the processing that takes place once bins are collected. And we'll briefly discuss the future of waste management as well. Now, throughout the presentation, you will have the opportunity to ask any questions you may have after the segments we do cover. So please do hold those questions until we reach those question periods. And I will also say that at the end of the presentation, with time permitting, we will go over some questions that were raised before earlier this week. All right, so with that, we will get started. Okay, so the City of Ottawa is responsible for the collection, transportation, processing, and disposal of residential waste from about 300,000 curbside homes and approximately 1,700 multi-residential properties. Based on statistics gathered from our last waste audit, 75% of all household waste that is disposed of in the garbage can in fact be diverted into the recycling bins. So this theoretically means that residents should only be throwing away 25% of the weight of our waste in the garbage. Yet in Ottawa, we divert less than half of our waste into our blue, black, and green bins. Considering that almost 50% of all household waste is organic matter, so being food leftovers, soiled pizza boxes, and Kleenex, I thought it'd be best if we start off by talking about the green bin. Next slide, please. Thank you. So as we can see here from this slide, many items are accepted in the green bin, and we can throw away more than just food in there as well. To name a few peculiar and random items, cooking grease, dryer lint, and cold fireplace ash can all be disposed of with your food scraps right into the green bin. If you are interested in finding out more about particular items or just about a general list, I encourage you to check ottawa.ca/greenbin for a full list of acceptable items. Also, the changes we have made to the green bin program has allowed residents to throw away food and dog waste in any paper or plastic bag. The city does not require that you go out and purchase bags to use in your green bin, rather that you reuse bags found around the home. So this could be as simple as reusing a bread bag, a milk bag, or a grocery bag, a plastic grocery bag that you have around the home. And on the topic of bags, I would just like to provide my friendly reminder that dog waste specifically be kept in a sealed leak-proof bag and then put in the green bin. Okay, so the purpose of the green bin program changes was to increase resident participation and divert more waste from the landfill by making the bin easier to use and less messy. Before 2019, which is when these changes came out, only half of the residents who owned a green bin were actually using it, as many said that the bin was gross and messy, deterring them from participating. So since these changes were released in July of 2019, we have seen a promising increase in participation from homes and apartment complexes, with an 8% and 37% increase in participation respectively. Also, using plastic bags as a bagging option in the green bin has significantly reduced resident sentiments of the bin's yuck factor, meaning that the bin is no longer perceived as gross and messy, which is wonderful news. Next slide, please. Perfect. So switching gears to the black bin. So the items that go in the black bin include paper, cardboard, and boxboard. So simply speaking, all clean fiber products are accepted. This even includes envelopes with the small plastic address window. They can go in as is to the black bin. Tissue boxes without having to remove the plastic opening on the top of the box are also accepted. However, soggy pizza boxes and used paper napkins, they cannot go in the black bin because they are soiled in food. They belong in the green bin. Another culprit that often ends up in the black bin that doesn't belong would be juice and milk cartons. So these items actually belong in the blue bin, and we will talk about the blue bin next. Perfect, thank you. So in the blue bin, a variety of items are accepted. We have glass, metal, plastic, and gable containers. And gable containers is the fancy word for milk and juice cartons. So simply speaking, in our blue bin program, all empty household containers are accepted. So examples would be a tin can. That is a container. We also have plastic containers, which are a really great example. Containers such as these for vegetables and fruit, they go right into the blue bin. Now, some items that are commonly misplaced in the blue bin would be soft plastics. So soft plastics are your plastic bags, plastic wrap, saran wrap. These items are not considered containers, and in fact, they belong in the garbage, not the blue bin. There's also styrofoam. Styrofoam is another item that is not accepted. So even if there is a recycling symbol on the bottom of a container per se, it cannot be put in our blue bin program because we don't have the technology for that. And to go along with that, disposable coffee cup lids and broken toys also don't belong in the blue bin. They go to the garbage. And despite all of these rules, I can confidently say that black plastic is accepted in Ottawa's blue bin program. So for any takeout containers or containers that you have around the home, They can easily just be rinsed out and put in the blue bin to be recycled. Perfect. So after throwing away accepted materials in the recycling bin, there shouldn't be too much left to throw away in the garbage. As we can see from the slide, we have provided you a list of some of the items that do go to the landfill, and we've talked about many of them already. So please keep in mind that there is a garbage bag limit here in the city. So every 2 weeks, you can throw up to 6 bags away for collectors to pick up. However, throwing 6 bags away is rather excessive and unnecessary if we truly want to reduce how much waste we do throw away. So with that, when making a purchase, we encourage you to select items with recyclable or minimal packaging so we can divert more waste from the landfill. Next slide, please. Wonderful. Now, if you are ever in a situation where you're not sure where a particular item belongs, we do have a solution for you, and we like to call it Ottawa's Google Garbage, which is also known as the Waste Explorer. The Waste Explorer tells you how to best dispose of many items. And with recent updates, we have made the tool more user-friendly by including images to illustrate which household items belong where. This tool can be found at ottawa.ca/wasteexplorer. I strongly encourage that you use it if you are in that situation where you don't know where a particular item belongs. And now let's take a look at this tool in action. So in the search bar, we have searched batteries. So batteries and other household hazardous waste cannot go in any of the bins because they are corrosive, flammable, and poisonous. These materials endanger our collection operators and contaminate the environment, which is why we must dispose of them separately from our garbage and recycling bins. So when we search batteries in the Waste Explorer, the tool will let you know whether you can. One idea is return items to one of the listed retailers to upcycle into new products. Option number 2 is to drop them off at one of the listed Take It Back partners for reuse, recycling, or proper disposal. And the last option is to dispose of them at a hazardous waste depot held by the city. And speaking of hazardous waste depots, our next depot will be held next month on Sunday, August 8th at 2170 Marble Road from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. We encourage you to check ottawa.ca/HHW for future depot locations and dates if this particular location or date isn't suitable for you. And then we have electronic waste. So electronic waste is another type of waste that is disposed of separately from your garbage and recycling bins. So as we can see for flat screen televisions, the Waste Explorer provides us multiple options as to how electronics can be recycled. One option being it can be dropped off at Trail Road, which is the city's landfill, or recycling, and this will be free of charge to you. The second option is through contacting one of the listed Take It Back partners who accept these items by reusing them, recycling them, or properly disposing of them for you. Now, the collection calendar. So you may use the city's traditional collection calendar that is mailed to you, but we will let you know that we also provide this information online at ottawa.ca and through our Recollect messages. And you may be wondering, what is Recollect? Well, Recollect is the city's waste collection calendar and reminder app that provides you service alerts on collection delays due to stat holidays or snowstorms, and information on how to optimize your use of your recycling bin. This app is available free to download on the Apple Store and Google Play for both Apple and Android devices. If you are looking for a second reminder for your collection days, I strongly recommend downloading this app. Next slide, please. Perfect. As for your bins, if you are missing a bin or have a damaged bin at home, you can easily get a new one or have yours replaced by completing a service request. And it's very simple to complete a service request online at ottawa.ca/311. However, if you'd prefer to speak with someone, you can always call 311 and they'll place that service request for you. And in general, the city will supply 1 blue, 1 black bin, and 1 green bin per household. However, if you'd like to recycle more or compost more, you can always request an additional bin. That is encouraged. So this then brings us to our first question period. I'll open the floor to all of you if you have any questions about the material we have covered so far.
I'll read out the question. That's all right for you, Kayla?
That's perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. We've got a question from Merit. I'm sorry, I can't read it because it's small letters. Marilita, pardon me, who lives in an apartment low rise, and she's asking if she can get a green bin.
So yes, in fact, you can get a green bin and you can just fill out or go through the same process, I should say, as what I just went through. So you can either call 311 or complete a request online. And usually what will happen, because you are in a low-rise apartment, they will just drop it off at either in the lobby of your building or where your larger bins are held, or your mailing room, I believe, actually. So maybe I would just suggest actually calling 311. They will provide you the details there, and you can pick between an 80-liter green bin, so the larger one, or a 46-liter bin. So it's about half the size, maybe shin length, and maybe more suitable. But again, up to you. But yes, absolutely, you can. And then I am just seeing the second half there.
Yeah, she's also asking about there are many people that can't seem to understand how to recycle, putting cans and plastic in the paper containers or cardboard in the plastic box. How does this affect the recycling process, and does it become contaminated?
Very good question. I will say we'll cover that in the segment to come. But what I will let you know now is all contaminants. So if you do put paper in plastic in the blue bin or plastic in the black bin, those are taken out when everything arrives at the facility and then brought to the landfill. But yes, we will see that in video, and I will also talk to that as well in the coming weeks.
Great. It's mentioned, Kathy's asking of the 8% of previous low percentage still means a very low percentage of participation in the green bin. How can we increase that?
How can we increase that? Again, very good question. So that 8% is adding on to the participation we already have, which I believe is around at least half of homes are participating in the green bin. Again, through waste diversion programs like this, outreach, jobs, or activities that I'm doing, that's really the big way we're pushing it now.
It's communication and making it's very difficult to get people to change habits or start habits for that matter. So it's a ton of work. Look how long it took people to bring bags to the grocery store. All these things, but they're all worth it. And I guess we can all do our part in pushing that, and people like Kayla through the city's communication. What is the percentage of blue bin collection that should go to garbage or else?
Another really great question. I have the answer for you. Just give me a moment. Percentage of blue bin.
I.e. someone put the broken toys in the blue box and
right.
That kind of thing.
Oh, perhaps I don't have a percentage, but oh no, here we go. For the blue bin, sorry, let me just read that question one more time. Yeah, for the blue bin. Contamination rate in the blue bin sits at 16% actually. So it's not too terrible, but it is particularly high compared to the black bin, which is only 2%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the biggest contributors, in fact, would be plastic bags, plastic wraps, and clothes hangers, actually. It's a big one.
That's good to know. Why does the city not have permanent electronic disposal depots?
I believe the reason for that is because it is rather expensive, and they weren't finding that there was a great turnout when there was just one depot. They found that there was greater turnout when it was mobile and going around the city. So more people found it easier and convenient to come to. But for electronics, in fact, you can always go to Trail Road. That is always an option. But just for the hazardous waste depots, at the moment, they are just always moving or always changing, just so we can try to appeal to more people in Ottawa. That's the reason, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think this is a good question from Pam. We need hazardous waste collection available to people without cars.
Yes, no, that is
where there's very good bus service or like on the train. Isn't there one at Tunney's, for example?
Yeah, and in fact, there's one coming up in Tunney's either next month or the month after. No, but I 100% agree. This is something that is this is something that many city officials are thinking about, because, again, this is a great comment. There's nothing in place for those who can't drive cars to these depots at the moment. So yes, great comment. Something we all need to think about.
Can we recycle plastic trays that for plant pots that come in, as well as the pots? It's gardening season, is just coming, I guess, to an end, but everybody, all those containers.
So the flower pots themselves, the plant pots themselves, yes, they can go in the blue bin. The plastic trays, as long as they are not made of a hard plastic or a soft plastic, but again, they're a plastic tray, so they wouldn't be, I would say they are safe to go in the blue bin.
Okay, yes, sometimes they are the soft plastic, like a chocolate box divider kind of thing. So good question. Thanks, Susan. Sandy's asking, can we recycle the stiff, clear plastic packaging that is commonly used at Costco, the stuff that you have to struggle to cut with scissors? I think the answer is no, but I'll let you answer.
Stiff, clear plastic packaging that's commonly used at Costco.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe that's something to think about. I can get back to you. Your office, so.
Yeah, thanks, Sandy. We'll just we're going to go to the next section, and I'll continue reading the questions there, because a lot of them apply to different sections, if that's okay.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Okay, everyone. So next up, we are going to be talking about what happens to all of our recycling after it gets picked up at the curb. Perfect. Next slide, please. All right, so once recycling is collected and the trucks enter the material recycling facility, the trucks are weighed and the contents are tipped into the receiving hall. This facility is located right here in Ottawa on Sheffield Road, and it's owned and operated by Cascades Recovery. The company operates from 2 sites, one for glass, metal, and plastic recycling, and one for paper and cardboard recycling. And before we start, I thought I'd give you a little stat. So in 2020, more than 63,000 tons of recycling collected from curbside homes and multi-residential properties was processed at Cascades and shipped to market, mostly in North America. So this brings us to step 1. Once tipped, your recycling is sorted on a conveyor belt, where workers manually sift through recycling to remove contaminants. So this is where garbage or any other unacceptable material is taken out, including film plastic, bulky plastic, and scrap metal. All unacceptable materials are then transported to the landfill site. The remaining recycling acceptable material continues on the conveyor belt and is separated into bunkers to prepare them to be compacted. Next slide, please. Perfect. So on this slide here, I have provided you a visual of blue bin contamination commonly witnessed during processing. So not all plastic and metal can be recycled. We do need to remember that our program only accepts household containers. So again, a great example being this tomato container and any other fruit or vegetable container for plastics. The biggest contributors to this contamination are plastic films, so those plastic bags, plastic wraps, cables, and clothes hangers are all big culprits. Now, unacceptable materials do need to be removed and transported to the landfill. And by going to blue bin sorting, they take an expensive and not exactly environmentally friendly detour. And in some cases, unacceptable materials can break the machines. So with this, we do see a contamination rate for the blue bin sitting at 16% in comparison to the black bin, which is only 2%. So still sitting rather high. And the third step. So the third step in the recycling process is the baling and shipment of processed materials, which are then reused in industrial production. Plastics and paper are compacted into cubes, shipped and sold to market for reuse. So here are some examples of sorted plastics, metal, and paper. There are many benefits to these recycling processes. Firstly, it prevents the materials from taking up space in the landfill, thereby extending the landfill's lifespan. Secondly, they've become a valuable resource, reducing the need for natural resources or industrial production. And lastly, the city receives revenue, which saves taxpayers money. Just in 2020 alone, in fact, the city received over $7 million for our materials, with about 30% of that coming from recycled metal, 25% from recycled plastic, and 45% from recycled fiber. Perfect. So this brings us to a video. So this video is going to just highlight everything that I just talked through. It's going to provide a great visual of what happens at Cascades Recovery on a day-to-day basis.
What happens to my recycling? Let's hear the real story behind how glass, metal, plastic, paper, and cardboard is processed right here in Ottawa. The more you know about recycling and how it works, the better you can sort the items. Blue and black bins are collected on alternating weeks. On average, each recycling truck makes 1,100 stops a day. Trucks are weighed when entering the recycling facility. Loads are then tipped into a holding area. 86 trucks unload glass, metal, plastic, paper, and cardboard daily. More than 93 tons of blue bin material and 142 tons of black bin material is processed every day. At the blue bin processing facility, material flows up the conveyor belt. The metering drum controls the flow of material. As we go through the process, you will see machines using movement, weight, electricity, magnets, air, and infrared to sort. On the pre-sort line, workers open bags and remove garbage, bulky plastic, and scrap metal. The ballistic separator removes two-dimensional items like film plastic from the system. Unacceptable items like plastic bags end up at the landfill site. The recyclables then travel up to the drum magnet. This spinning magnet captures tin cans and other metals and drops them onto a conveyor belt. All materials other than metal and glass flow down the conveyor belt towards two optical sorters. Infrared sensors identify the different types of plastic. Plastics are blown by air jets into the appropriate chutes. These sorters are used to separate the following containers: number 1 plastics, number 2 plastics, cartons, and number 3 to 5 plastics. Workers at quality control stations remove any leftover non-recyclable items. The remaining materials continue on for manual sorting. The eddy current separator puts an electrical charge into aluminum cans, and a magnet propels the cans onto a separate belt. Finally, another optical sorter captures materials that were missed by the process and sends them back for another round of sorting. Contamination is material not acceptable in the blue or black bin program. These items are sent to the landfill. A baler crushes various materials into cubes for easy shipping. Bales of steel such as tin cans, and gable such as milk cartons. Bales are inspected for quality before they are shipped. Let's go over how we separate the paper and cardboard from your black bin. Once again, material is loaded onto a conveyor belt, and a metering drum controls the amount of material entering the facility. A disc screener sorts the large cardboard from the rest of the material. The cardboard then travels directly on a conveyor belt to a baler. The remaining material is moved on 2 parallel conveyor belts to the main sorting room. Workers pull off the boxboard and any leftover cardboard for recycling. Garbage is also removed. These materials are dropped into the appropriate bunkers directly below the main sort room. The only remaining material is paper, which falls off the conveyor belts into its own bunker. Garbage removed from the recycling is transported to landfill. Material is then moved from the bunkers for baling. Paper, boxboard, and cardboard is baled for shipping to market. Each bale can weigh up to 700 kilograms. The material is made into new products. Number 1 bottles are transformed into fleece, t-shirts, and parkas. Number 2 plastics like laundry detergent bottles and shampoo bottles are transformed into water pipes, culverts, and more number 2 bottles. Mixed plastics like plastic tub lids are transformed into plastic lumber, playground equipment, and park benches. Aluminum like soft drink cans are transformed into aluminum sheeting for automobiles, and more aluminum cans. Glass bottles and jars get transformed into road construction materials, and steel soup cans get transformed into chains, piping, household appliances, and automotive parts. Milk and juice boxes get transformed into paper towels, paper trays, cardboard, and tissues. Old corrugated cardboard is transformed into more corrugated cardboard. Paper is transformed into paper and insulation. Boxboard is transformed into cereal and cracker boxes. Not sure where to dispose of a household item? Visit ottawa.ca/wasteexplorer.
Thank you, Kayla. I've been on that tour and it's really fascinating to watch up close, especially when the conveyors are going. One of my favorite tours. So we've got some questions. So if you're ready for them.
Yes, absolutely. We can go right into question period.
Okay, great. Okay, we'll go where we left off. And what size is too small to recycle? The smallest paper, smallest plastic?
Great question. For smallest plastic, we accept single snack size yogurt containers. So that would also mean applesauce containers. Any container of that size would likely be the smallest. For smallest paper, toilet paper rolls are accepted. I would imagine around this size, but again, you can always put shredded paper in the black bin also, just contained in a box, and that should be fine as well. That can all go to Cascades Recovery and it will be baled and shipped to market also.
Okay, thank you. What about compostable packaging that looks like plastic? Susan, do you mean like the plastic bags? Compostable packaging. Do you know what that? I'm not sure if I know what that means.
Would it be the Keurig cups maybe, or cups like that?
Okay. We'll get back to that. If you can clarify, Susan, that'd be great. And back to the plant trays, I'm not sure what you meant by as long as they're not soft plastic or hard plastic.
Yeah, sorry for the confusion. So trays, essentially, as long as they are, again, think of, I love to go back to this example, but a fruit or vegetable container, something of this type of plastic. When I say hard plastic, I'm thinking of a toy, for example, a toy of that nature that wouldn't be accepted in the blue bin. And a soft plastic, I'm thinking a plastic bag. So a nice healthy median where it resembles something like this. It should be more than fine to go into the blue bin.
I actually just looked it up. The Waste Explorer gave the answer and said that you can put them in the blue box.
Perfect.
Okay. What is being done to encourage or force fast food businesses to clean up?
So they are unfortunately out of our jurisdiction, and we unfortunately can't have any say there. So it's up to the province. They are following provincial regulations. So unfortunately, I don't have the answer for you, but at the moment, the city can't do anything about that, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. It is an issue that we're dealing with the province and with the federal government both. And it's a great question. For example, the federal government is talking about getting rid of single-use plastic, banning it. And that is the best way to do it because businesses can do it on their own. They can say, I'm not going to do that anymore. But of course, the price would go up and then they know that they'd be hurt because people look at the bottom line and price is a factor, even though they're being good citizens. So that's the problem. So you do need uniform regulations across the system. And the province has power on that and the federal government as well. And we push very hard on that as a municipality, as well as the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, because they represent all the municipalities. We want those regulations. That would save us a ton of money and it would be fair to everyone because then everybody would have the same rules. And it's so frustrating because it's unfortunately people buy things based on price and that's what they do is it's a race to make things as least expensive as possible. Which RD is it on? RD, I think someone answered Sheffield, but I guess they meant.
Yes, it's on Sheffield. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, road. Okay, got it. Sorry. Is the city considering making producers of recyclable plastic responsible for paying for recycling?
So the intern, I believe it's called Councillor, is it called the producer responsibility model? It is being discussed, and I know as much as you all do in terms of detail.
That's provincial, and it is being looked at. Yeah, that is being looked at by the province, Pam. And so that's exactly the kinds of things that we're looking for. Is it necessary to rinse out plastics and other recyclable items?
So for plastics, we just ask that they are empty. So just to make sure, you know, the food plastic containers don't have any of that food left over in them. We do understand that peanut butter jars, for example, can be difficult to clean out. So just a simple rinse, if that jar needs it, is more than enough and it can be recycled. That's not considered contaminated.
Just from my own view, it's really good to rinse it out because you attract animals. If you want, you will attract because smells like peanut butter is like cocaine to a lot of animals out there, and you will have animals in your bin if you throw it out there in the outside. They will come in and gnaw away at those things. So I recommend you rinse it just for that reason alone, and smell if you're sensitive to smell. But actually, I just did it because I thought you were supposed to. But I think I'm going to continue doing it.
Yeah, no, and rinsing is great. Yeah, for that reason, definitely do it. But don't think you need to really scrub at them to make them super clean. Yeah.
Previous question, individual producer responsibility is IPR. That's what's being worked on by the province, and we're very happy if that comes through. Sandy's asking if you could repeat the income from the 2020 recycling. And if you could give it to us, we'll put it in our newsletter.
Yes, absolutely. I will do that. So the income from last year was over $7 million. And I can also provide.
You can give the breakdown.
Yeah. So the breakdown. So about 30% of that revenue came from recycled metal, 25% from recycled plastic, and 45% from recycled fiber, so paper and cardboard, everything we put in the black bin.
Great. What's the market for recycled resources right now?
So pretty well everything that we put in the blue bin and the black bin at the moment is highly desirable. They are sought after from some of the retailers shopping on the market. So it's great. There's definitely a need and a demand for everything we put in our blue and black bin. So that is encouragement enough to keep doing it, definitely.
Well, Susan's asking if the tour is open to the public. To my knowledge, no. It's
yeah.
When we went there, we had to wear hard hats and boots and the whole bit because it's a work site. And so just a small group of us could go. So it's not easy to bring in the public, though. I think once in a while it'd be good to have some representation just so people can, because I found it very good. But it's just that it would have to be extremely small numbers for that reason. It's a pretty messy place. It's not set up to hold people to watch things, but like I said, it's worthwhile. My favorite part is when you go to Trail Road is the falcons.
That's my favorite part too.
Yeah, the falcons.
Amazing.
They have falcons, trained falcons that chase away the gulls and the other birds that are a nuisance. So it's quite something. The first R is reduce. There is nothing wrong with Ottawa's water. What is being done to curtail the use of bottled water? Excellent question, Judith. Actually, we have a motion on that that was put forward by Councillor McKenney, and I'm super happy about it. And it's to do with our city not having them at city sites. That is sort of the extent of what we can do. Back to single-use plastics, this is something we want to get away from. And just encouraging a culture of getting away from bottled water is a big job, and it's bigger than our city, but we should be doing it here for sure because we have the best water in the world. So that is something that it's multi-pronged approach, but I'm really pleased that the city is doing a leadership role, at least on their own facilities, which is frankly all we can control. We can't control people buying bottled water at supermarkets except to nag them and tell them it's not a good idea and that they're wasting their money because the water is perfectly good. Susan, it's from places like Bridgehead. Okay, this is you're talking about. It's made from corn and is clear like plastic. Takeout cups and bowls. So what about cardboard takeout containers that are waxed inside? I wonder what an alternative could be to single-use coffee lids that can't be recycled. So yeah, they're talking about Bridgehead Products, which is who has been a leader. So they are a good example of they are making things that and right in their coffee shops, they tell you to put it into the recycle. So that's a good example. Do you have any comments on that, Kayla?
Yeah, so off the top of my head, when I think about this, so for example, a Bridgehead coffee cup, that is made out of cardboard, yeah, and with the wax inside. Yeah, so those items, the cup, it can go in the green bin, in fact. So those items can go in the green bin.
And the coffee lids?
The lids. Yeah, an alternative for the lids. No, that's a great question. off the top of my head, I think no lid, but that's never a great idea with hot coffee in there. I do know though, once we go past, once we are in a more new normal after COVID, many retailers will likely begin allowing customers to bring in their own cups again, like we once were able to before COVID. So that's an option once we are able to do that, just bring your own coffee cup, mug, and lid, so we don't have to use those single-use plastics.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think I forgot what that was like, and it's just coming back now, and it's great. You bring your mug with you, and but your retail dollars are very powerful out there. And the fact that you go to a place like Bridgehead because you know they do recycling and because they have compostable products, you're speaking with your dollars, and rather than going to a place like Tim Hortons who doesn't. So that puts pressure on manufacturers too. Your consumer dollars are probably the biggest pressure that you can put on these guys. More powerful than governments. So I'm glad you're going after them. Tim is asking, I see that recycling bins next to garbage bins at public places such as parks have a lot of contamination, garbage in the recycling bin. What plans are they to improve recycling at these places? It's a good question, Tim.
Yeah, good question. From what I know, it is still in the pilot phase, so this is something that city staff are constantly overseeing and examining. I know in the past they've been working on more visuals to put on the bins themselves, just so people do know what should be going in those bins, and having all the bins together so there isn't just a reason to just throw it into any bin kind of thing. But definitely something that is being thought of right now.
Yes. Yes, it's why it's a pilot project at the parks. People have asked me, why doesn't Britannia Park have recycling bins? Well, they're trying it out at one place, and it happened to be chosen that Mooney's Bay was the place. But that is what they're looking for, to see if people can recycle properly because of the amount of contamination. You get people who come along and go, oh, well, there's a hole to throw garbage, and they just put everything in. So it kind of takes away from the recycling, and that's what is self-defeating. So we have to make sure that people catch on and respect it. I know that a lot of commercial places have that issue as well, but so that's the reasoning. And what are our plans to improve it? It's still communications, education, and telling people why it's so important. So they take that extra step of thinking for a second, where do I put it? Which hole do I put it in? Marlita is asking about a box cutter that were sealed in plastic that was very difficult to pull apart. Is this plastic recyclable? I guess you're talking about bubble packaging, which is, I'm pretty sure isn't.
No, but yeah, bubble packaging would not be recyclable, unfortunately. It would have to go to the garbage. Okay. Yeah.
We're going to switch soon. You've got the questions that were sent in advance, Kayla.
Yes, I do. We do just have a bit more content to cover. So how about we just take a break on the questions now, and then we'll come back to them.
Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, and with that, we are going to switch gears and talk about what happens to everything that we put in the green bin once it has been picked up. Okay. So after your organic waste is collected from your curb, it gets recycled at Convertus, the organic waste processing plant. It is located on Hawthorne Road, right here in Ottawa. At Convertus, your organic waste is turned into compost for the agricultural community. Next slide, please. Thank you. All right, so material is hauled to the organic waste processing plant from homes, city facilities, and a number of parks. Trucks are weighed once they enter and exit the facility, so contractors can gain a sense of how much food waste is being collected on a daily basis. Organic material is then tipped into the receiving hall, which we see on the right, to begin the composting process. Perfect. So here, the organic material is then put through a shredder to rip open the plastic bags. Larger pieces of organic material, such as tree branches and brush, are then broken down here as well to prepare for the next step in the process. Step 3. So the material mix is placed in aeration tunnels where accelerated aerobic tunnel composting takes place. The mix is exposed to forced air, moisture, and high temperatures to kickstart the biological process and to kill bacteria and pathogens. After exposure, the waste stays in the tunnel for 2 weeks to ensure all bacteria is killed off. After aeration, organic material is placed on a conveyor belt and processed through a screening line. The material is then separated into 3 different piles. So on the right, a pile is dedicated to contaminants. So all of the plastic bags we've used in the green bin are taken out here, and anything else for that matter that doesn't belong. They are then transported to the landfill. On the left, a pile is dedicated to all material that is not quite compost yet, but still has beneficial reuse qualities as processed organic waste. And lastly, material smaller than 10 millimeters that is ready to be sold as compost comes out of the back of the screener into a pile. On the next slide, we can see the final product up close. So here we are. So at this stage, compost is set aside to mature and is assessed for quality before being sold to farmers. Compost testing follows the very strict guidelines prescribed by the Ministry of the Environment, Conservation, and Parks to ensure the compost is healthy and non-toxic for agricultural use. And once tested, the compost is sold to farmers as fertilizer to grow new crops. Municipal composting acts as a really great example of circular economy principles, where waste is eliminated and the food scraps we throw away can be turned into valuable resources for the agricultural community. Additionally, diverting organics and recyclables from the landfill extends the landfill's lifespan, as building a new landfill site is bad for the environment and costs millions of dollars. To add on to this, waste diversion helps fight climate change, as keeping organics out of the landfill reduces harmful methane gas emissions. All right, so on this slide here, I've provided you images of the city's outdoor composting facility on Barnsdale Road. During the peak season in the spring and fall, when we have a lot of leaf and yard waste, this leaf and yard waste is collected and brought to an outdoor site near the landfill for composting. So it's important to note here that only leaf and yard waste is brought to this outdoor location. No food scraps or pet waste is brought here, and the contents stay here for a year while being turned regularly. So your tree branches, grass trimmings, and plants that you've thrown in your paper, leaf, and yard waste bags are turned into potting soil and is sold to the general public at Trail Road. Perfect. So this brings us to another question period, and then we will talk about garbage.
Thank you, Kayla. Do you want to go into, we'll switch to the questions that were sent in advance, if that's okay?
Okay.
All right. Just a few of them.
No worries at all. Yes.
Okay.
So,
You have them here? Or do you want
yes,
me?
I have them here. No worries at all. So the first question we received in advance was about the changes coming in the future. So the question was, are there any insights into the changes to recycling coming in 2023 as Ontario moves to making producers responsible for recycling? Specifically around products that will be added and removed and whether we will move to a single stream collection model. So my answer for you all would be that I have a yes and no to this. So we do know that individual producer responsibility is coming, but we don't know the details at the moment. There will be a transition phase, and this will take place from 2023 to 2025. So we do expect the real changes to probably come into effect in 2026. And ultimately, the goal here is to harmonize the recycling program across the province, so all of Ontario. So there may well be items that will be added or removed from Ottawa's current list of accepted materials. But at the moment, we don't know the details yet. The next question we received, can the city direct restaurants to use compostable or recyclable takeout containers? So we had a similar question raised earlier, but essentially the answer is no. We don't have any jurisdiction over the industrial, commercial, and institutional sector. Currently, however, we can report that 839 properties are participating in the green bin, which is about half of all multi-residential properties in Ottawa, so that's pretty great. And we do offer the green bin program to every apartment building. Staff work very closely with property owners to implement this program in their buildings, but we cannot force them to sign up for the service. The next question, does a two-substance item get rejected? Okay, envelope cellophane window. No, so as I said earlier, envelopes with the plastic address window, even the tissue boxes with the plastic film on top, can both go in your recycling bins as is. You don't need to worry about removing that plastic piece, I should say. And to go off of that, however, padded envelopes with bubble wrap, the bubble wrap being the bad guy here, they cannot go in the they cannot go in the black bin. They have to go in the garbage because of the bubble wrap. The final question we'll go over would be, what's the difference between yard waste and the organic material I put in my green bin? Can I put dirt or weeds in the green bin? I've heard many different ideas on this. So there is virtually no difference between what you put in the green bin and your yard waste. It can all essentially go in the green bin. So essentially what goes in the green bin, as we just saw, it undergoes accelerated tunnel composting and is then turned into compost for farmers to use. And everything that is put in your leaf and yard waste bags is also composted at our outdoor facility and is then sold as potting soil to anyone within the city who's looking to purchase them. So yes, they all have very beneficial reuse qualities and they are being reused when put in either the green bin or the leaf and yard waste bags. And just in terms of soil, if you do have soil, like meaning earth or dirt, this does have to be taken to the landfill separately. And there will be a tipping fee for disposal if you do have a very large quantity, but dirt itself shouldn't be going in the green bin. It really should just be dedicated to brush, leaves, grass trimmings, leaves, things of that nature. But yes, that would be the questions.
Okay, great. I'll go back to questions. And do you have another section to do, Kayla?
Yes, just one last section on garbage.
All right. I'll just throw in a couple more questions here and then we'll go back to the presentation. So the video, we've already said it can be on YouTube and we're going to make connections for that. And someone's asking, where's the boxed garbage shipped after sorting? So
great. Yeah, so very great question. So boxed garbage. So I'll just go over everything that we put in our blue and black bins. So as for the blue bin, everything that is shipped to market is kept in Canada and the US. So all of our plastics stay within North America. As for our paper, cardboard, and boxboard, paper primarily stays in Canada and the US. It's our cardboard and boxboard that has been shipped to India, as well as, who else am I forgetting here? India and, oh yes, no, just India, yeah. But again, primarily within North America, Canada, US, stays within our borders, yeah.
Okay. Great. Okay, could the city put together a little video on how much of our water is tested and how much waste is generated by bottled water? I would like to share that in presentations. Well, there's a communications project for you, Kayla.
Yes, there is one right there. No, thank you for that. That's something I can definitely bring to the attention of individuals within my department, because yes, we're always working on those communication pieces for the services that we support. So I can definitely raise that to my colleague in water services. Thank you.
That's great, Sandy. I saw a video, and I can't remember who it was by, but it wasn't City of Ottawa, but where they were giving people water and they were telling them where it came from, you know, saying this is our best water, and it was straight from the tap. It was straight from the tap, and of course people felt, you know, thought it was some special water. People are, you know, they go by clue, you know, the fact that, oh, it's in a bottle, it must be better. But if they didn't know better, they would know that our water was just as good, definitely. So great idea. Cold drink cups. I'm not sure. Are you asking about cold drink cups as recyclable? I guess that's, I think they're not if they're got wax on them, eh? Kayla?
Right. If you're thinking of a maybe Tim Hortons cold drink cup, that can go, as long as it's again empty, that can go in the blue bin.
As I got asked, is other cities have virtual tours of their waste management facilities? Could we look into having a video tour made of the Trail Road facility? I like that.
Yes, I like that too. And yes, we can. In fact, this video for our landfill is in the works. Production will be starting this summer, I believe. So we can expect a video in the coming months, I believe. But yes, no, we can definitely look forward to that in the future.
Great. And this is a question I asked too, Judith. Has the pandemic affected recycling? More, because people are home, maybe they're better?
Yeah, that's generally actually what we're seeing. There's definitely more recycling going out, more things going out in the green bin because people are home more, they're cooking more. Yeah, we're seeing a greater increase, but I do know that we will be conducting future waste audits post-pandemic when we do reach a new normal, just to see how that has changed after going back to that new normal. But no, right now we are seeing increases.
And certainly it meant that waste from restaurants went down, like sit-down restaurants and places in downtown areas. There, because restaurants were closed, of course, that garbage went down. So it could have been that recycling went up just because people are at home.
Yeah,
and
very true.
Yeah. Marlita's asking, I have a Glad bag that says compostable in municipal facilities. Is this separated and ends up in the landfill too?
Great question. Unfortunately, yes, that is the case. So all bags that are put in the green bin are taken out and sent to landfill. So yes, unfortunately.
Okay, that's great. Let's go to the next section.
All right, the next section, everyone. So we will be talking about garbage and where this all ends up. Perfect. So household garbage is collected bi-weekly every month by our collection contractors in the city. Next slide, please. Thank you. So approximately 120 trucks collect garbage every week in our city, where collection operators begin their days at 7 a.m., working 10-hour shifts 4 days a week. every contractor lifts 10 tons of waste per day, which is equivalent to the size of an adult elephant. It's pretty incredible. And between homes, to add on to this, contractors walk 21 kilometers per shift, which is a half marathon every day for 4 days. Rather incredible what they do. So once we do reach the landfill, each truck is weighed going in and out of the facility to gauge how much garbage is being collected in the city on a day-to-day basis. And as we can see here in this photo, garbage trucks then bring their loads to the tipping face, which is the word for the edge of the landfill, and they then dump their contents. Wind grates are used on site to ensure garbage doesn't fly away during this process. And this then brings us to compacting. So large compactor vehicles weighing approximately 60 tons reduce the volume of garbage dumped each day. And at the end of each day, the tipping face is then covered in dirt and recycled material, which is often recycled car seat pieces, to seal in the odor and the garbage itself so it doesn't fly away. And this then prepares the landfill for the next day of garbage drop-offs. All right, so this then brings us to the solid waste master plan. So at the rate that we are throwing out garbage, our landfill is expected to reach capacity between 2036 and 2038. With this in mind, we need to start thinking about what we will do with our waste in the future. The city is currently developing a solid waste master plan. The solid waste master plan will guide how we as a community will manage our waste over the next 30 years. So I encourage you all to visit ottawa.ca/wasteplan to access supporting documents, the newsletter sign up, engagement opportunities, and updates on the master plan as it progresses through the timeline. So to conclude, I'd like to leave you with 3 points to consider. Firstly, using your blue bin and your black bin does make a difference. Your recyclables are reused to create resources for the community. Secondly, it's possible for 75% of household waste to be kept out of the landfill with everyone's participation in the city's programs. Keeping food and soil tissue out of the garbage makes a tremendous difference in increasing the life expectancy of the landfill. And lastly, take advantage of the Waste Explorer tool. It truly is a great tool to find the best place to dispose of an item you're unsure about. And with that, that concludes our presentation here today. I'd like to thank you all for listening and for attending this waste diversion seminar. And if there are any last minute questions, we can cover those now. So thank you.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you so much, Kayla. That was a great job. And I got a couple more questions. Who handles the waste from federal government buildings?
Oh, good question.
Yeah, I should know that. Is the city got a contract with the federal government? We'll get back to you on that,
Yeah,
Judith.
good question though.
Yeah, that's good. I think that probably the people that came out tonight are probably recyclers. You're probably all people that already recycle, and we love you for it. Believe me. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors what a difference it makes, and challenge yourself to do one more thing that you hadn't done before, like something that you wonder why do I always buy this and it's not recyclable, or how can I reduce? And keep challenging yourself. Every little small thing helps, and it is frustrating. I really like the question about being in a low-rise building, Marlita. That was great, because that's the next target. Is we are looking at the multi-residential buildings and how to encourage them. they were not built, set up to do recycling. That's the problem. It's one thing to have bins outside your house. It's another thing to have an apartment and take things down elevators or chutes. And that's an issue, and we're working on it. Other cities are as well, and it's possible. And people want to. That's the most important part. They really want to recycle, and so that's encouraging. But if you have any further questions, we welcome them. I appreciate all these efforts. That document that Kayla was showing you is like 400 pages, by the way, if you feel like reading it. It's just all the ideas that we have of how to recycle, what ideas we have to lengthen that time that we don't have to close Trail Road and find another place. We want to stretch it out as much as possible. So all the ideas about how to do that are in there, and it's good to look at, because obviously you care a lot about this issue. So pass the word on, and just remind everyone, you know, how important this is. It is education. I think kids are a great target. I think we need to do more work in schools and get kids while they're young, and maybe they'll nag their parents because they're going to know more than their parents maybe, but there's lots of opportunity to learn more and to get people educated on what to do. I'm always learning. I still use the Waste Explorer for things that I wasn't sure about. Good questions. By the way, when I looked up bubble wrap, and I mean the bubble wrap, like the kind that you can take it back. UPS and a whole bunch of places take it. I just found that out tonight. So that Waste Explorer is really useful. So thank you very much. I think we've learned a lot, and we're going to continue to learn. I think that it's very helpful. So this is available. This will be on the website, so you'll be able to get more information, and please consider sharing it with others as well. Thank you very much, Kayla and the team. I think it was Alexa was helping you. Yes, she was background as well, along with my staff, Connie and Georgie, who were here to help us as well. Okay, well, have a great rest of the evening. I hear there's a thunderstorm coming, so be ready for it. Okay, take care.